Hi, my name is Abby, and as of 2018, I was considered non-type 2 diabetic. And just a little bit about me and how I got there. In the spring of 2010, I had some abdominal pain, and I went to the doctor. They ran a bunch of different tests, and during those tests, at this point I had no idea I was diabetic, and I just had some abdominal pain going on, and I was in college at the time. And so I went to the doctor, and they ran a bunch of different tests, and the doctor had called me and said, we need you to come back again. We need to run a couple more tests, or we have to redo some tests. And I'm like, okay. Didn't think anything of it. Well, lo and behold, when I did my urine test, they had me do like some different fasting times, and my glucose levels were through the roof. They were over 200. And so basically they said I was considered type 2 diabetic, and on the A1C scale, the higher the number, obviously the worse and out of control your diabetes is. And I was at, I think it was almost at a 9, if not close to 9. So and now that I've educated myself a little bit more about it, that was pretty bad. And I remember them asking me a bunch of different questions, like all the symptoms of diabetes, like blurred vision, having to go to the bathroom, are you feeling fatigued, if you lost any weight, any tingliness. And the only thing I could think of when I was in college, of course I was tired because I would stay up studying late, and usually I would just drink water and coffee, and then I would have to get up in the night to go to the bathroom, because I was drinking all this water while I was studying at the wee hours of the morning. And I didn't really experience any blurred vision, but the thing I remember them asking was any tingliness, and I remember feeling tingliness in the morning when I woke up at my fingertips, but at that point I didn't really think anything of it. But now as I educated myself more, I'm like, oh yeah, that made sense. So that was in April of 2010, and then as they did more labs and stuff, I actually had to go in for a CT scan, which that abdominal pain resulted in a tumor in my liver. But at that point, they didn't say that. They said it was just a complex mass. So that was really frightening to hear. I eventually had to get an MRI done, and I was sent up to Mayo in Rochester, Minnesota at the hospital there, and had my procedures and everything done. And long story short, I had a tumor removed from my liver in May of 2010. So that was a crazy time because I found out in April I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and now I had to deal with this tumor to be removed, and I was supposed to graduate college. So I actually had to postpone some assignments, and I actually didn't get my diploma and stuff until like that August or September of 2010. But I also was put on insulin during that time because when you have surgery, it puts your body into a lot of stress, which then your sugar levels are all over the place. So when I was out of the hospital, they gave me this care plan where I actually had to do insulin for a few weeks, which means I had to give myself shots every day. And I remember at that point, I'm like, I don't want to have to give my shots every day. So I kind of tweaked my diet a little bit at that time. This was 2010. My lifestyle didn't change a lot. I just thought I would try to eat healthier. A little bit here and there. I improved my A1C, but not anything like drastic. I lowered it. It went from like 9 to like 7 maybe, or some point between 2010 and 2014. And it wasn't until I invested in a Beachbody, and their workouts and stuff, and not that I'm saying that they cured me of this, but this is just what I've done for myself. My now husband, he proposed to me back in December of 2014. And it was at that point where I was like, I do not want to be that big bride. Like, I've always been a big girl. I've always been a little bit on the plus size, and pretty much my whole life, ever since I was a kid, like, I've always just been a big girl. And I did not want to be that fat bride walking down the runway when I see my husband. So it was like my mindset shifted, and I was like, that's it. It's time to get serious. It's time to get my lifestyle in order and figure this out. So I invested in a Beachbody program, and that was at the time P90. I started with that, and then did a bunch of other programs along the way. I did the container system. I tried to follow a low carb lifestyle because when you're a diabetic, they really try to make sure you limit your carb intake. And I also drank Shakeology during that time. And so I showed my doctor. My doctors at the time, well, I've had to switch a provider here. I've had to switch a provider once since that happened. But my doctor was on board with it. She knew that I drank Shakeology. She never discouraged me from it. She always just said, whatever you're doing, keep doing what you're doing. And the weight eventually slowly fell off. I drank Shakeology every day, and it's low on the glycemic index, which means that if you, I like to compare it like you have a slice of white bread. You eat that, it's white, and it has a bunch of processed sugar, processed stuff. So when you eat it, what happens is that it spikes your blood sugar up, and then all of a sudden for a while, and then it just goes straight down. Like it doesn't just, kind of level off or plateau. It just spikes it, and then you crash. And that's why, some people at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock just all of a sudden feel, like they feel lethargic. And that's because if you have so much processed stuff in the morning, you're going to have that crash. So when it's low on the glycemic index, that means that there is low sugar, and it also keeps it at a stable level most of the day. So you're not having these spikes up and down, and it doesn't mess with your blood sugar levels either. So anything low on the glycemic index is great because it's not spiking your blood sugar. It's not causing those crashes. And Shakeology is awesome. I usually have it, I used to have it in the beginning for breakfast, but now I switch it over to the evening because I love chocolate. So I usually have it in the evening because it really helps curb my chocolate craving at night. So I'll have it as a dessert, I guess you could say, after dinner. But I usually go back and forth between chocolate and cafe latte. And, they're only like, like 130, 40 calories. And then there's, quite a bit of protein in it. You got your fiber. There's just a bunch of awesome nutrition in there that helps with our bodies. And for me, being that you're diabetic on top of that, you're prone to getting sick because your immune system weakens. And since I've started drinking Shakeology, I hardly ever get a cold. I hardly ever have to go to the doctor. And over time now, with the combination of working out, cleaning up my lifestyle, like such as eating, cleaning up my diet, and including Shakeology, part of that, as of this year, as of the beginning of 2018, I was able to get off no more medication. They actually put the diabetes disease in past diseases in my account. So I can always pull it up and show it if you want proof. And I actually just messaged my doctor this week, actually, and asked if she needed me to still come in and do 6 months checkups. Because as a diabetic, when I first diagnosed, I had to go in every 3 months. And then once I started to improve my A1C, then I only had to go every 6 months. So usually August is when I go in for my A1C checkup. So I messaged her and said, do you need me to come in? Like, we really didn't discuss, like, the next step of action. Like, since this is in remission, like, do you still need me to come in just to make sure that it's staying stable? And she replied saying, you just need to come in once a year and we'll just do kind of like a physical every year. So that's awesome because when you're diabetic, the cost that goes into everything is ridiculous. Between the hospital bills, the equipment, the needles, the strips that you need for your blood sugar stuff. And actually, I just use the generic brand at Walmart. You don't need a prescription, and it's super cheaper than having to go through the pharmacy and get those strips. Accuracy, I'm not sure how accurate they are, but I've been using them for 3 years and I haven't had any issues with them. So go check out the generic strips and meter at Walmart if you're trying to save some money, and also use Walmart Pharmacy for any medications because they do really well, such as lowering the cost for your medications. That's what I have found out anyways. It could be different for anybody. But I'm so glad that I don't have to pay for any more medications. I don't have to take any medications. I don't have to go into the doctor every 6 months and have labs done and needles poked and probed. I mean, shots don't even bother me anymore because I've had so many needles pricked into me in the last 8 years that I'm just like, pick an arm. That's how relaxed I am with shots. But I've had a really great experience with all of those things. I really believe that it has given me a second life, a chance at life anyways. And I'm in literally the best shape of my life, the best health ever in my life. I've never really taken care of myself all through as a kid. I grew up in a family where, food was not, the number one priority on your health. I didn't grow up with a lot of money, so we were farmers, so we, food just wasn't the number one thing, so we would eat not very well. And when we got older, you know, fast food was convenient because we were in sports and we were always on the go. So we would just grab McDonald's or something really quick, which was quite often. And so my health was not very good all through my childhood, probably not even all through high school. I was a bigger girl. I was probably one of the bigger girls in my grade, but I am really thankful that I have Shakeology and Beachbody now because it's just, I feel so much better. And again, like, I am glad I'm no longer on any sort of medication, and I feel like the two together are your powerhouse, and they really work. You just and it's not going to happen overnight. It's definitely going to take time. Like, this took me 14, 15, 4 years to, you know, get that complete, like, get that off my slate. So I mean, it'll get there. Just don't give up and believe in yourself, and just believe and trust the process, because it will work. Your body will thank you for it. Will thank you for Shakeology, because this superfoods from all around the world that are put into this bag that you're able to consume, and it tastes great, and there's so many flavors. So I would never give that up. And, you know, if my husband and I, we have kids someday, I definitely want them to be on the Daily Sunshine, because I know that that's full of great nutrition as well. So that's just a quick background on me and how those products and the programs have helped me personally. And I think if you give it a chance, you're definitely going to see some results. So if you do have any questions or want any more information specifically, like for me in regards to diabetes, you know, please reach out to me. I'm here to be a resource, and I know what it's like to do it alone. I know what it's like to figure things out for yourself. I actually didn't like meeting with my dietitian when I first got diagnosed. So I did my own research and went from there. So please know you're not alone, and I would be more than happy to talk to you and help you along with it.